What is going on, everyone? Does your life suck? I'm sure some days you feel like it does. You're not alone. We all have those days. The good news is every day above ground is a good day. At least that's how I've always viewed things. But we all have those days, and a lot of those days have to do with where we live. If you live in a nice city or state that has a high quality of life score, you're statistically more likely to be happy. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? It's kind of just simple, makes sense. You live in a nice place, so you'll be happy. Still didn't stop someone from doing a couple studies on the subject. Today we're talking about the Prairie State, Illinois. It's also where Abraham Lincoln lived for a while, and their other nickname is the Land of Lincoln. He was born in Kentucky, but moved to Illinois with his family in his late teens, early 20s. I actually read a book not too long ago that stated they really aren't sure anymore when he arrived in Illinois. Some believe it was a couple years later than originally thought. Anyway, moving on. Besides history, Illinois has great farmland, great cities, and the greatest pizza in the world up in Chicago. It's amazing pizza. But Illinois also has... Number 10, infrastructure. About 58% of the roads in Illinois are considered to be in good condition. That means 42% of them aren't in good condition. It's basic math. I'm glad I could help all of you who are bringing up the calculator with that basic math problem. Solved. It took Illinois lawmakers 9 years to pass a transportation bill. 9 years and some months to be exact. 9 years to finally address a seriously deficient infrastructure. Illinois has such poor roads, I don't care what kind of car insurance you have, it's not going to cover damage from excessive pothole encounters. The infrastructure is in such bad shape that it was causing safety hazards and costing people and businesses time and money. In Chicago, I saw falling concrete at the Union. I didn't actually see it falling. It had already fallen, and they had little like rope things around it in Union Station when I took the train back from Chicago. Trains and buses look like they served in World War II. Across the state, roads connecting farms, manufacturing, and universities were just crumbling all over the place. Here's the thing. The law was passed this last June. It won't go into effect until summer of 2020 when they can start doing road work and stuff like that again. And it'll be 6 years before they complete most of the projects. Now, it's government, so realistically it won't start till summer of 2021, and only half of the project will be completed in 8 years. After all, it is Illinois. Number 9, second worst place for business. Only being outdone by California, Illinois sucks to do business in. Illinois continues to tax heavily, and politicians continue to destroy opportunities for employees and businesses. It's a terrible combination that's led to an exodus they're seeing both in families and businesses. It's like they went to some school on how not to run things, like California. I read about a data room company that was moving 30 minutes away into Indiana to save thousands of dollars every month. Here's an idea. Find a middle ground, tax enough to fix things, but not so much companies are racing to the state line like 1930s bank robbers. Number 8, outward migration. Like I mentioned before, people are running out of Illinois like someone who just found out their Tinder date told a 200-pound lie on their profile. More people are moving out of Illinois than any other state. Yes, more than California. For every 100 people moving into the Prairie State, 137 people move out. They're kind of running a little bit of a deficit there. As one man said in an interview about leaving Illinois, "When my old lady gets out of rehab, we're hitting the payday loan place and moving to North Dakota, because it sucks in Illinois." Those were his words, not mine. And that's also when I decided to cancel any plans I ever had of visiting North Dakota again. The strange thing is, it's not just Chicago people are moving out of. It's across the board, the whole state. Every place is losing people, oddly enough, except for one of the worst places, which is East St. Louis. They don't seem to be losing many people. Everywhere else in the state, they're just flooding out of there. It's incredible. Number 7, crooked politicians. Illinois is sort of known for the crooked politician thing. They've had 4 governors who have served time in prison, 1 currently. That's 4. That's 3 more than the other 2 on that list. South Carolina did have a lieutenant governor go to jail, but yeah, only 3 states have had governors go to jail, and Illinois leads the pack. But in Illinois, it's like a tradition to get caught up in some form of fraud or bribery for elected officials. They have a list of aldermen, state reps, and other city and state officials doing some sort of time for some kind of corruption. But the governor that's currently in there is Governor Rod Blagojevich, who was Illinois' 40th governor. He served from 2003 to 2009. He was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. The Justice Department complaint alleges that the governor conspired to commit several pay-to-play schemes, including attempting to attain personal gain by selling Barack Obama's Senate seat. When he got elected to the president, the governor can appoint someone to take over his seat. At one point, he was trying to get Oprah to take it over. I don't know if he was charging her or whatever, but whoever he was trying to charge for that seat, he got wiretapped by the federal government and they sent him to jail for 14 years. Now, recently, just back in like summer, I think June was the last time I heard of it, there was talk about President Trump setting him free. I don't know what happened with that. I haven't heard anything in months. He's still doing time. Number 6, Fiscal stability. Are you getting the feeling most of Illinois' problems come from the government? If you're getting that feeling, the feeling's correct. Remember when they couldn't get a transportation budget done for years and years? Well, these people have a hard time getting any budget through. When they rank fiscal stability, Illinois comes in last place, dead last. At this point, I would like to extend another congratulations to the state of Mississippi. We now have 3 things you're not dead last in. Congratulations, Mississippi. So what is fiscal stability? Fiscal stability is basically the economy of the state, but it's assessed both in a short and long-term basis. A state's credit rating and public pension liabilities are measured for long-term financial health, blah, 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 liquidity, budget balancing, bunch of stuff I don't understand. Their spending comparison to their income is really a big part of it. If you were to look at the books on Illinois, one thing is crystal clear. They struggle with math harder than I do. They just don't get it. Something's not happening right here. It's like no one wants to spend money or someone wants to spend too much money. It just doesn't make any sense. Number 5, pollution and air quality. The entire state tanks when it comes to environmental issues. Illinois ranked 37th in air and water quality and 43rd in overall pollution. Most people think this is all because of Chicago. It is and it isn't. You're sort of right. Most pollution and water pollution comes from farms. The air quality, now that's going to be on Chicago and some of the bigger cities, but most standard pollution and water pollution come from the farms. Illinois has a lot of farmland. If you drink the water in Illinois, make sure you have good health insurance or life insurance, at least enough life insurance so your family can afford to move out of the land of Lincoln after you're gone. But yeah, the air quality is going to come from Chicago and some of the other bigger cities, not like they have other bigger cities. I mean, East St. Louis kind of big and things like that. But yeah, the air quality tanks from Chicago for the most part. Number 4, Chicago's reputation. Chicago has a reputation for being the most dangerous city in the United States because of the high number of murders. The murder part is correct, but the dangerous part is false. Chicago was actually ranked 14th that year, and in 2018, it was 25th. This all started the 2016 election season. This was brought up over and over by politicians. Some politicians claim they would call in the National Guard or Army to the streets of Chicago to control the city. This, of course, was nonsense. Besides being against the law, it would face challenge after challenge in the courts, and they'd never get on the streets for this. It was insane. And it's also would be a serious misallocation of funds. They're putting it on the wrong city. Chicago that year did have the most murders with 762 homicides, followed by St. Louis with 326 and Baltimore with 318. So yes, they did have more, but Chicago also has 9.5 million residents in the metro area, where St. Louis and Baltimore each have 2.8. Chicago ranked 14th among cities with at least 100,000 residents in 2016. The Chicago murder rate was 24 homicides per every 100,000 residents. That was less than half the rate of St. Louis's with 59.6 per every 100,000 residents and Baltimore's with 55.2, and also below the rate of other cities including Cleveland, Memphis, Tennessee, and Newark, New Jersey. So it was really just a bunch of hot air that they were just using it to get elected. It was insane. And now Chicago has this reputation for being the most dangerous city in the United States. It's nuts. Number 3, the weather. Depending on what poll you read, Illinois is always in the top 5 for the worst weather. Now, I'll get some flack about this one. Whenever weather is brought up in any of my lists, people claim that it's not that bad. We are talking normal people here, not freaks like myself that wait all year for the temperature to drop below 40 degrees so we could feel normal. I asked a friend who lived in Chicago growing up and now lives in a place called Wilmington, Illinois. Side note to this, I had someone tell me I didn't know anything about the United States last time I brought up my friend Matt and how he lives in Wilmington, Illinois. They said that I was an idiot because Wilmington is in Delaware, not Illinois. And he wasn't having it when about 50 people in the comment section called him an idiot and then started correcting his grammar and everything else and his spelling. It was horrible. But anyway, it's got to be rough being a 16-year-old know-it-all. Anyway, so this is how Matt described Illinois weather. It is humid most of the year. Spring lasts about a month and 3 days, but it is always either rainy or gray skies. Fall is the best season here, but that only lasts for about a month and 6 days. Summers are mostly unbearably hot and humid with no wind whatsoever. Then the fun begins. Winter is windy with ice, sleet, snow, and rain. I spend more time scraping ice and shoveling snow than I do sleeping some months in Illinois. Then he said, forget the sunscreen and remember the whiskey. It helps keep you warm. Number 2, the worst run state. Illinois is considered to be the worst run state in the union. Most of the things on this list have probably pointed most of you in that direction already, I'm sure. Yes, they beat both Mississippi and California in this category. Congratulations, Mississippi. You got another one you're not the bottom of the barrel on. The fiscal stability, infrastructure, politicians in jail, pollution, air, and water quality all point to the people that have been getting elected are not doing what they were elected to do. Or they're just in way over their heads and they need some help. Whichever. Just recently, the Illinois Board of Education suspended the licenses of around 50 educators who have been charged with sex crimes, violent felonies, and certain drug offenses, implementing a new law that seeks to strengthen protection for students. Basically, they're trying to make kids safe. What a novel idea. Who thought of it? It's incredible. Finally getting around to it. How did these people get hired in the first place? I understand if they got the job, committed a crime, and got fired soon after. Some had this on their records before they even got hired. Since this all went down, many of the teachers who lost their licenses were fired or they resigned after their arrests, while others remain employed but on leave. How long are they on leave for? Until the statute of limitations expires? What's going on here? What is even stranger about this situation? Illinois doesn't have terrible schools. They aren't the best, but they're not terrible. Kind of weird. And number 1, the quality of life. Quality of life is how they gauge whether a place sucks or doesn't suck for the residents. Illinois sucks for its residents. It was ranked 47th for 2018, and they'll probably capture the 48th spot for 2019. The reasons why? Because they suck, that's why. All things like crime, weather, economy, transportation, etc. all factor in, and that's how they come up with this ranking for quality of life for any location. Illinois is just about the bottom of the barrel. Most predict that the next few years will just get worse for Illinois. They're losing residents and employers at an alarming rate, which lowers the amount of tax revenue, which leads to even bigger problems. Illinois is getting to the point where the only industries that excel when things are bad will thrive. Bail bonds, lawyers, payday loans, cleanup and restoration type businesses, those type of things will do good in the next few years, next decade in Illinois. I'm sure Honest Abe would cry if he saw Illinois now. Alright, so that is my top 10 reasons Illinois sucks. I hope you guys got some information out of it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget all the links below. Give me a big thumbs up. Tell me what you thought. What did I miss? I want to hear about it. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you know when we uploaded. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.